yesterday, the devs posted their planned balance changes for April 2025, so we're gonna cover that. But before you do that, there's a new event pass live right now, so I'll cover that real quick, only like 1 minute hopefully, and then we'll continue on with the planned balance changes of the upcoming update for April 2025. So this new event pass is called Shadow Business, and these are the rewards. You get a blockchain, you get a bootstrap generator, you get another blockchain, another bootstrap, a few stickers, decorative items, and all that stuff. And the main prize is a Tor generator. And the special workbench has access to an upgraded Helios, an upgraded Mammoth, an upgraded Starfall, an upgraded Pulsar, an upgraded Waltz, an upgraded Fortune, an upgraded Header, an upgraded Nova Cabin, upgraded Triggers, upgraded Gremlin Shotguns, upgraded Prometheus 5s, upgraded Incinerators, upgraded Protector Machine Guns, upgraded Harpy Cabin, upgraded ML200 Legs, upgraded Small Tracks, upgraded Big Rims, an upgraded RD2 Keen. These are the upgrades for the Tor. You can also craft a normal Tor. These are the upgrades for the bootstrap, and these are the upgrades for the blockchain. Alright, now let's continue on with the planned balance changes. So far, the only thing that needed a nerf or some slight adjustments were the Emugis, and they're getting that, but that's not the only one, but they're basically nerfing a whole bunch of stuff, so let's get into it. The first change they talk about is for the little boys, the Fat Man, the Mammoth, and the Mastodon. They're reducing the turret rotation speed by 16.6%. They're basically saying that the use of these was too simplified. They're trying to make it a little bit more complex. Personally, I say cannons have been in a bad spot for a very long time, and now that they actually feel amazing, I don't want the devs to change them too much to a state where they become kind of useless again. But I do understand this change because in the past, I could drive around a rotating cannon build and he could not turn his guns fast enough to get me. But nowadays, they can easily still shoot you, even if you're driving around a bot or a player using Mammoths or Mastodons. Alright, now let's move on to the special parts. For the Emily Revolver, they're planning to increase the damage by 9%, increase the durability from 120 to 175 points, and also increase its weight from 160 to 180 kilos. Now personally, I don't use the Emily's just to have fun in the game because it usually gets shot off really fast, but it is already very powerful if you stick under 7k power score. So I get the durability increase, but the damage increase wasn't really needed. And of course, automatically the weight will increase if they increase the durability. I think what they're gonna do with the Emily is they're gonna leave it like this for like a couple of weeks, and then they're gonna revert the changes because the Emilys don't need a damage increase. Now for the Tempest auto cannons. The Tempest is getting a pretty hefty nerf, and both of the auto cannons that don't deal blast damage are getting slaughtered. So the energy consumption will be increased from 8 points to 9 points, time to overheat increased by 33%, and power score will be increased from 760 to 855. This is a little bit of a too aggressive change in my opinion. I get the overheating rate, increase that, but increasing the energy consumption basically destroys all the builds people have made. I do not agree with this change. I know the Tempest is good, and I know some people say it's too strong. I get it because people use enclosed builds, but increasing the energy, come on, man, no. And they're doing the same thing for the World too. I don't like this change personally. I know the World Dog is strong, but you can deal with it. That's the thing, you can deal with it. Not all builds can deal with it, but it can be dealt with. I believe they're also planning to do the same changes to the Whirl, but again, I don't mind the time to overheat rate, change that, change the power score, but the energy consumption, I would love them to leave that alone. Next up is the Falco Rotor. Yep, in this balance change, they're actually nerfing some of the rotors and the lag, so the acceleration will be reduced by 15%, and they're saying it's just too efficient relative to the main rotors. The Genesis ammo box is actually getting a pretty nice buff, increase the number of launches by 50% instead of 25 before, which is, nice. The Hardcore engine is getting a perk, increases the reverse speed of wheels up to 40% of standard. The Razorback is also getting a perk, increases the durability of all movement parts by 10%, and the Dunhorse engine is also getting a perk. Every 100 meter pass by the car reduces the remaining cooldown for modules and autonomous weapons except for sentry drones by 7%. So not amazing perks, but they're getting perks now, which is good. And now for epic parts, they're finally touching the adapters again. So the R3739 adapter is getting a durability buff from 208 to 280 points, and the last shot bonus from the perk is now 60% instead of 50%. Yeah, so the adapters, they don't have a lot of durability and they don't have any stopping power, and they are incredibly boring to use. These changes are not enough, they need more changes. Ooh, and now for a very cool one. The Gunganier is now gonna be classified as a cryogenic weapon. So now when hitting an enemy, it freezes the parts by 1%. That seems a bit low, Is it gonna stay 1% or does it stack? It doesn't say that it stacks. So if you shoot something, it's only gonna get frozen by 1%. I mean, I get it, but it seems kind of low. I don't have access to the test server right now because it's not open yet, but I would love to test this out. The Jotun is also getting a buff. I mean, the Jotuns were very strong for a long time, but they're just a little bit boring to use in my opinion. So they're reducing the reload time from 13 to 12 seconds. And that's pretty much it. And they're saying low efficiency of the howitzer. Yeah, it's okay, but it's just boring. Next up, they're touching the Yokai finally again. The first and only plasma rocket launcher in the game. Durability will be increased from 482 to 565 points. And the blast radius will be increased by 33%. Sounds like a fun change. For the Corvo revolver, damage increased by 15% and penetration ability increased from 65 to 75%. I don't think they understand the issue with the Corvo. Isn't it obvious? The Corvo is no longer hit scan and it only has 6 shots in the chamber. So by the time you can adjust to your lead on the target, you have to reload and wait again. So the damage increase won't really do a whole lot. Penetration won't do a whole lot. Out of all the weapons they changed and they removed their hit scan ability, I think the Corvo should be the only one that still has hit scan. But that's just my opinion. Some people might disagree, but the Corvo right now, I don't think it's ever going to be useful again. For the Punji trap, the range of the connecting sticks is increased from 30 to 70 meters. Yeah, I only played these once because you can only play them on a dragger. You know, you can't really play them on anything else, and I don't see people using Punjis at all. I like the idea, it's a cool weapon, very interesting, but so far, the only build I've seen that you can use the Punjis on are draggers. Next up, they're nerfing the blockchains. Cruel's not gonna like this. They're removing the damage bonus in missions with battle walkers and armored aircraft. Yeah, so blockchains have a couple of things going for them in the helicopter game mode. First of all, their hit scan, which makes them already better than most of the weapons, and they had a special perk where penetrable parts would take more damage from this weapon. And so what they're basically saying is they're gonna change the amount of damage it does in the helicopter game mode, because as you know, in the helicopter PvP, everything has different parameters. Cabins give you more power, engines give you more power, everything feels faster, everything deals more damage. But for the block change, they're gonna change that. Next up, they're also planning to nerf my beloved clarinet though. I don't use this weapon too often because it's boring, but when I do use it, I always have a ton of fun. So they're changing the damage bonuses you're getting depending on the rarity of the hardware. So for common hardware, you get 2% damage boost instead of 1%. For rare weapons, no changes. For special, it's 4% instead of 5. For epic, 5% instead of 7. And for legendary modules, it's 6% damage bonus instead of 9. What a massive nerf. This change makes sense because the toe came out of nowhere, came out of the gutter, came out of the dirt, the trash, and almost dealing no damage, and now it has like one-shot potential. So a bit too strong, so I understand it. Looks like they're nerfing the Raijin even more. Oh, what a surprise. Damage on hit when fully charged is reduced by 11%. Penetration ability reduced from 65 to 55%. Durability reduced from 1281 to 1165 points. And they're saying the weapon is too efficient between 7,000 and 16,000 power score. Brother, trust me, if you bring a Raijin to 16k, it's not gonna survive. At 7k, yeah, I can see why it's too strong there. Then just turn it into a legendary weapon. Problem solved. Oh yeah, and here's the other autocannon, the Whirl. Energy consumption increased from 8 to 9 points. Time to overheat increased by 41%. And the power score also increased from 1080 to 1215. Dang. The Tusk Cabin is also getting some changes. Added 50% bonus to ram damage. And the ram damage bonus from the perk reduced from 40% to 20%, and ram damage resistance increased from 60% to 70%. So it's getting a few nerfs, a few buffs. They're trying to not make the cabin reliant on their perk too much, but I think that was the specialty of the Tusk Cabin. So that's the whole point of the Tusk Cabin. Having a cabin that deals more ram damage is just gonna be more annoying, especially when people use it on boosters and just ram non-stop all over the place. I know it's a certain playstyle that people use. I don't like it. They're freaking annoying. The big ram is also getting some changes. Tonnage increased from 2,300 to 2,500 kilos. Power penalty reduced from 20 to 19%, so not a big difference. And rear bigrams in wheel mode now turn at a maximum angle, just like the front ones. Interesting. And all bigrams now use one weapon group like robotic legs. Oh, okay. Huh, okay. I wonder if people were combining it or something. Oh, okay, interesting. They're slightly nerfing the meat grinder meta, so now the meat grinder mass will be increased from 730 to 910 kilos. Tonnage will be reduced from 3600 to 3400. Power penalty increased from 18% to 22%, and speed of turning in place reduced by 15%. Personally, I don't use the meat grinder meta, but I know the top guys always use these type of builds, so we'll see what happens. The CR2 petrol rotor is also getting a slight nerf. Acceleration reduced by 15% and tonnage reduced from 5,000 to 4,100 kilos. I wonder why they suddenly decided to change the rotor parameters and the bipedal legs parameters. They're also nerfing the Tengu legs. The perk recharge time increased from 4 to 7 seconds. So yeah, makes sense. 4 seconds was way too short. For the Cheetah engine, the bonus to maximum cabin speed is increased from 13 to 14%, and bonus to tonnage increased from 3,000 to 3,200 kilos. So some pretty nice changes. And now for legendary parts, and just like the Mandrake, the Ra 1 header is also getting an energy consumption reduction, so it's going from 14 to 13 points, and the power score is going from 2,800 to 2,600. For the Redshirt, durability will be increased from 256 to 343, and mass will be increased from 234 to 315 kilos. Yeah, the devs haven't touched the Redshirt in ages, so it's nice that it's getting a buff. Yeah, the durability was really too low, but that didn't mean we couldn't use it effectively. It just limited our build options. I'm actually surprised to see that the Fukibari is also getting a buff. Projectile speed increased by 20%, spread reduced by 20%, and increase in spread after firing is reduced by 25%. Very surprising to see this. The Nutthog machine gun got the same treatment as the Gunganier. It's moved into the cryogenic category, and the weapon now freezes parts on hit by 1.5%. The Fortune is also getting a buff because of low efficiency. I don't know why they don't realize this. I think it's a capacity issue, but the Fortunes and the Porcupines kind of became, well, the Porcupines are still good, but the Fortunes became kind of lame as soon as they introduced that it would also impact on teammates. I don't even know why they did that. But yeah, they're buffing the Fortunes again, added the perk that as the projectile travels the first 200 meters, its damage and blast radius gradually increases up to 30% and 15% respectively. Projectile lifetime increased from 8 to 12 seconds, and rate of fire increased by 12.5%. A random chance at 30% more damage sounds pretty interesting. Oh, by the way guys, guess what? They're buffing the compiler. Someone mentioned that not enough people had bought the battle pass, so they're buffing the compilers. So the recoil is reduced by 32%. I agree with this change only, but the minimum spread is also getting reduced by 53%. Maximum spread is being reduced by 29%, and the increase in spread after firing reduced by 48%. Yeah, that's also a good change. This thing had way too much recoil and way too much spread. I didn't mind it because I already found the weapon really powerful, and just like the other dude said, maybe they want more people to buy this battle pass. Next up, the Imugi grenade launcher. Projectile speed reduced by 10%, which is good. Reload time increased from 6 to 7 seconds, understandable. Impulse reduced by 3 times, yep, it had way too much impulse. And perk radius reduced from 3.5 to 3 meters. Don't like that change, but understandable. I'm not sure if I can time it right, but I'll have a clip playing in the background of me using the Imugis, and it is such a disgusting weapon if you get used to it, so I understand this change. The next change I don't understand though, the Kaiju is also getting nerfed. Shot charge time increased from 3.5 to 4 seconds, and holding time after charge reduced from 4 to 3.5 seconds. Why would they do that? We need to, like, it doesn't make sense. So it's a charging weapon, and they only give you a small window for you to shoot? Like, how? Capacity issue, man. I think they should just leave the Kaiju alone. The Carib Disc is also getting a change. The perk now activates when approaching an enemy from the rear quarter of an armored car, not the rear half. Seems like the Carib Disc was still a little bit too effective. The Griffin Cabin is getting an additional perk on top of the Cloak one. Perk now reduces the recharge time of modules and drones by 5% once per second while the perk is active. But this boost only applies to the cabin's owner, so you'll still be able to hide teammates off the map, but you won't give them the drone buff. Man, I completely forgot that the Hippogriff cabin existed until I read it here. They're changing the perks a little bit. Perk active time increased from 7 to 10 seconds, and perk recharge time reduced from 25 to 20 seconds. Bro, nobody uses the Hippogriff. It needs more. Like, Wall hack is nice and all, but it needs a bit more. They're also slightly changing the whaler cabin. Speed reduced from 80 to 76 kilometers per hour, and perk active time reduced from 10 to 8 seconds. Very sad. Very, very sad. Usually, you could get 2 shots off when the whaler perk was active with your cannons. I'm not so sure if that will be possible now. I think we could all see this one coming. The Satori cabin is also getting a nerf. Maximum perk bonus is now gained after 3.5 seconds of drifting instead of 3 before, and it resets after 1.5 seconds after exiting the drift instead of 2.5 seconds before. Yep, the Satori cabin is just way too efficient with certain weapons. And it's a very sad day for Finwheel users. They're removing the perk that gave you spread stability, so that's no longer a thing. I'll be honest, I always forgot that the Finwheel engine had that perk. I mainly used it for more resistance, but yeah, I won't miss it. They're also making some changes to the Pilgrim, Photon, and Nova cabins. For the Pilgrim, mass will be reduced to 1400 kilos, tonnage will be increased to 5500 kilos, and the effect of mass on acceleration reduced by 10%. For the Photon cabin, same changes, but mass will be reduced to 1650 kilos, tonnage will be increased to 7600 kilos, and the effect of the mass on acceleration will be reduced by 10% as well. And for the Nova cabin, similar changes, mass reduced to 1900 kilos, tonnage increased to 7000 kilos, and the effect of mass on acceleration reduced by 10%. And it turns out the shields were kind of busted. In my video yesterday, I was complaining that the Nova shield wasn't doing anything, but turns out it was something they changed to them. So for all protective fields, vulnerability to blast damage reduced from 100 to 50%. So does this mean that right now, if they receive blast damage, they instantly disappear? Seems kind of odd. And they're saying that protective fields are destroyed too quickly by blast damage. Dude, in the past, protective fields would protect you against everything. I don't know why they made this change. For robotic legs, just like I mentioned earlier, they're adding jumping. The jump is activated by holding down the handbrake key. For the waltz and RL9 Helicon, they just added welding points. That's it. And those were all the planned changes for the next big update, fellas. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this informative. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.